Hello everyone and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and today we've got 4 great decks for you, including what is the best home of the current season pass card, Cuckoo, as well as 2 decks for the new card that came out this week, that is Zorn. But we're going to begin with the thumbnail deck. The deck that you saw that was this big mystery is this Symbiote Spider-Man Nimrod list. And I started playing this when Elixir came out, or a version of this when Elixir came out, under the theory that Elixir would make it better. I've slowly changed like 5 or 6 cards here, and now this list just stopped losing. Like, it loses if it doesn't see Nimrod. It can occasionally be disrupted by stuff like Scream decks. Unlucky Cosmo can be annoying, but this list finds ways to win in Marvel Snap. And if Cosmo goes away, if Thanos goes away later today, this one is an absolute freaking monster. I think that this list is like, I don't understand why this is so consistent right now, but it's just putting up slightly more points than what the top of the meta is in very consistent ways. You can find me streaming it. I actually streamed it straight to an Infinity ticket yesterday on stream at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. This deck needs Grandmaster and Symbiote Spider-Man. Galactic can be Gwenpool and Surge can be Zabu. I started to say you need Nimrod, but Nimrod is now a Series 3 card. Let's talk about what each card here does. Carnage, Venom, and Deathlock are your late game destroy cards. What you fundamentally want to do is you want to get them out on the last turn in order to eat Nimrod multiple times. Nice and simple, right? That Nimrod should be buffed, ideally by Symbiote Spider-Man. Symbiote Spider-Man turns it into a 5/13. That's more than the Shuri buff will give that Nimrod, so that's worth knowing. That's also more than the Galactus. So Symbiote Spider-Man gives more than Shuri, gives more than Galactus as far as buffing Nimrod. Keep in mind what's on the board as you make these choices, though, right? Against the Thanos deck, you're really not going to want to Shuri or Symbiote Spider-Man. You want to aim for Galacta because you want them to accidentally use their Cosmo in the wrong lane, and then you just get that 9 power Nimrod, which is often more than enough. You want to be a little careful against Scream decks, where again, Shuri is totally fine, but now and Galacta is still better than Symbiote, but against like a regular deck that you don't think is running Juggernaut or anything else, all of a sudden you're totally fine just dropping Symbiote Spider-Man and getting max points. Your goal is to destroy Nimrod twice using Shuri, Galacta, and Symbiote Spider-Man. Now, sorry, buffing Nimrod with Shuri, Galacta, or Symbiote Spider-Man, and then destroying Nimrod twice using Carnage, Venom, and Deathlock. That's where Grandmaster comes in, because sometimes you'll see a lot of your enablers and not your payoffs. Grandmaster gives you a second way to Carnage, a second way to Venom, a second way to Deathlock, which is very powerful and important for this deck to have access to. So if you only see one destroy card, Grandmaster gives you that extra access there. Surge gives you a little bit of early power. Once in a while, you're going to surge into like a Shuri Galacta symbiote into an early Nimrod. But hey, if you hit that Galacta or symbiote early, feel free to just drop them early. You get that extra benefit from it as far as further cards, and every bit of extra power gets amplified in that way. So Surge ends up being really powerful that way. She is very useful in this deck. Magic and Crystal are your, oh, I need to make sure that I actually see my damn cards. Magic and Crystal here, Magic gives you an extra turn to draw Nimrod and get your combo going, and Crystal gives you an extra card to try and draw your combo. That is their fundamental use in the deck. What's really nice about Magic is if you get the Nimrod out on curve when you've Magicked, you can often get a bunch of extra destroys going. One of my favorite things to do is to like get Galacta or Shuri with Nimrod, and then do a destroy on turn 6 and play Symbiote Spider-Man. And that Symbiote Spider-Man with the Nimrod alone, then I can further buff that second Nimrod and then destroy it again 2 more times on the last turn. Grandmaster is so good in this deck, y'all. There's just a lot of very powerful and interesting stuff you can do like that. The only card that doesn't really matter for the combo here is Killmonger. Killmonger was Destroyer in a lot of games. I tried Ghost Spider in that spot. You can run Echo if you want to try and play around Cosmo. Killmonger is a card that's just here. It's here largely because this deck would otherwise just die to Clog. Clog is very annoying and relatively prominent, at least in my part of the meta. I'm around rank 470 infinite right now. So there's a lot of Clog. And I'm playing Magic, so I'm giving them a lot of extra turns to Clog me. Having the ability to Killmonger either on like turn 4, if I've got a Magic game, or around turn 6, so I can do my destroys and get all my extra stuff going, is really useful for me, and I found Killmonger is fine. I don't really care what that card can be. I think that card eventually is going to be Kid Omega when Kid Omega comes out. Until Kid Omega is out, I'm totally fine running Killmonger in that spot as the last swing card. Everything else here fundamentally is either enable the combo or or once you've enabled the combo, like hit the combo, like do the thing. So that's what this list is. It's really strong. So I have a 71% win rate with this list. Again, at high infinite, I've taken only into, I took it into a silver and a gold conquest. So I'm 5-0 with this in conquest. I plan to take it into infinity conquest on the stream relatively soon. Turn 1 pass, turn 2 surge, turn 3 is crystal or magic. You can Killmonger if like squirrels the location happen, but generally speaking, you prefer to hold that. Crystal or magic is dependent. If you think they might have a counter for magic, you crystal. If you think magic is relatively safe, feel free to just drop magic. Turn 4, Symbiote, Shuri, or Galacta, and you need to consider what the opponent is running. If you think there might be a combo, Galacta is best. If you think there might be an early play of a counter card, then all of a sudden Shuri is fine, right? Like if you think they're going to Red Guardian you, you don't care if they Red Guardian Shuri, so that's a totally fine play. If you think that you're totally safe and in the clear, Symbiote is the most power. Turn 5 Nimrod, and if you're going to get Nimrod out, you can just snap. Very, very few decks have anything that can answer Nimrod. I played against an Afflict deck that ran Shadow King, and even they couldn't match me in power. That was a Conquest win, and that's better than just if you didn't draw Nimrod at this point, you're going to Magic. That's totally fine. Shuri is the only thing where you need to play Nimrod immediately after. Galacta and Symbiote can come out earlier as Surge or Magic require, or later as Magic might require, so don't stress it. And then turn 6, assuming you played Nimrod, you destroy twice, and then you remember Grandmaster in one of your side lanes. Keep in mind, however, that sometimes you're going to draw Nimrod on turn late. That's what Magic is for. At that point, you play Nimrod on turn 5, and then you do the double destroy on turn 6. This list is absolutely a monster. I know that this seems silly. This seems like this deck can't be that good right now. I thought so too. I played with Elixir and I kept winning, and then I cut all the cards that weren't making the combo happen, and now I win more. I think that this list is very, very, very worth playing right now, and I think you'll have a great time with it. We're going to get to the coverage of our new card with our top player thoughts, but first, please hit that sub button, a like, and a comment. That would mean the world in supporting this channel as we try to hit 25,000 subs in 2025. And we bring you 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. Today, this is video 1 of 2. We will have an OTA breakdown the literal instant that OTA drops. We cover Marvel Snap more thoroughly than anyone. If you want the most Marvel Snap content with the most consistent and top decks, hit that sub button. We'll also be giving away an Esme Cuckoo this week. This is our last Esme Cuckoo because next week is Merlin season. So we're going to give away Esme Cuckoo. All you have to do is sub, like, and then later on this video, leave a very specific comment. I'll ask you a question, you leave a comment, and then you will be able to enter to win Esme. Nice and simple, right, friends? All right. Tetatonix made a deck called Zorn in the USA, and I thought this felt very, very powerful. I don't know if this is all the way there, but there's some very serious potential for this list right now. I think that this list has absolute legs and absolute power to it. Tetatonix is a member of the Husky Puppies Discord community and hangs out in a lot of streams. Very, very good deck builder and player. He's come up with several meta decks in the past. This deck is reasonably expensive. You need Batrock, Madam Web, Zorn, Hydra Stomper, Redwing, and Sam. Luckily, Batrock, Madam Web, and Sam are relatively owned cards, and a lot of people who own Batrock, Sam, and Madam Web happen to get Stomper around the same time they got Web, so Redwing and Zorn are sort of the extra things. This is like one of the very few decks that Zorn is actually needed for. That's kind of why I wanted to feature it. US Agent can be anything. We're looking at Surge, Shadow King, sort of whatever. You just don't want anything that puts a card in hand. So what this list fundamentally tries to do is move around a ton of cards and empty your hand. You get a 9 power Strong Guy, you get a 9 to 10 power Hydra Stomper, and then you get a 15 power Vulture, and then you should be good to go because you have the early package. There is this early move package that's one of the more powerful things to do in Marvel Snap. It's Batrock, Sam Wilson, and Kraven. If you play those 3 cards, your Batrock is going to get +2 every turn, and either your Sam or Kraven are going to get +2 every turn. And that little combination is just so incredibly powerful. Every move, therefore, is going to give +2 to Hydra Stomper, because if you move the shield, the Batrock moves with it. That is Hydra Stomper power. From there, we have Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider is here largely for 1 card. Ghost Spider is really here for Vulture. It's your second move on Vulture because you do want to move Vulture twice. Vulture getting really, really big is one of the most powerful things this list can do. It's not like a requirement to do that. Sometimes you're going to move a Cosmo into a powerful lane. Sometimes you're going to move a US Agent. Sometimes it'll be your only Redwing move, stuff like that. That's all fine. But what you really want to do is get Vulture up to 15 power. We do a lot of work with cards like Werewolf by Night to get them to that power. For Vulture, it's just play it on Zorn, then play Ghost Spider. Madam Web is your other way to move Vulture, though Madam Web and Zorn are your two main Vulture movers. Madam Web can move a card every turn, which is pretty damn nice for Hydra Stomper as well, and pretty damn nice for Craven as well. That's a very useful thing to have. Um, if you can go Zorn into Vulture into Ghost Spider and Madam Web, you're just like cooking with gas. Now you've got this stupidly big lane winning Vulture that's going to be insane, like win you all but guaranteed. And like as you're doing that, you should still be able to pull off plenty of other combos. Um, the other card you really want to move here is Red Wing. Red Wing moves and pulls a card out of hand. It's very unlikely that there's nothing you're like going crazy to pull out of hand with Red Wing, right? So you want to do that late in the game. But he's a 5, and if he pulls a strong guy or enables a strong guy, far more likely to do the enabling than the pulling, then he's playing as about a 5 +6, right? Because the strong guy's 3 no matter what. So he's playing as like an 11 power card, and you'll take a 3/11 most of the time, right? US Agent is a good way to stop big things. You can run Shang here, but US Agent gives you an extra way to stop some big stuff. Hydra Stomper plays for huge, huge power. If you just start dropping your 3s cold into Zorn, you'll be totally fine, right? Hydra Stomper gets bigger every time. You're moving Batrock, you're moving the shield. All this stuff really does sing and give you a ton of Zorn power. Cosmo's a little bit of protection for you, a little bit of disruption for the opponent. Strong Guy's a 3/9. Again, we're perfectly happy with the 3/9, even if that's not the biggest 3 we're going to get, right? Vulture is our big thing, and then Red Wing is a little bit of extra use. I wish this deck could run like a Hercules, but I don't think we're quite there. I do think that this deck is very close. There's something in this type of shell that is a seriously, seriously powerful deck, and I had a lot of success with this as is. I just think that there's a level up we can get to. So turn 1, Batrock. Turn 2, Sam over Zorn over Web over Craven. Turn 3, Craven if Sam, Vulture if Web or Zorn. Turn 4, you want to go 2/2 because you have 8 million twos. You can also go Vulture and Ghost Spider here just fine. If you went Zorn, you can now do the Vulture, Madam Web, the Ghost Spider, Madam Web thing. Turn 5, 3/2. This is generally when you want to get out Hydra Stomper Strong Guy. And the 2 could be a 2 or it could be a Ghost Spider here. And then turn 6, you want Cosmo and Red Wing, and then you want Red Wing to be played to dump a card. Once in a while, you'll need to use a turn 5 to drop a Red Wing if you don't see Zorn. So you'll need to play it in Madam Web. That's totally fine as well. This list puts up just a lot of power. Like, it doesn't look like it does, right? Everything about this list looks small, but your Sam Wilson is a 2/7, your Craven's like a 2/9. Then you've got a 3/9 out of Strong Guy, a like 3/15 out of Vulture. And then you've got like a 1/8 out of Batrock, and like your Stomper's at least a 9. So you just have all these little cards that scale up in a very big way. This one very much impressed me. Tetatonix sent this to me, and I did not think much of it. Now that I've played it, this feels like it's really good. Give it a try if you got Zorn, but let's see what some top players think about Zorn, about whether you should get Zorn. The great Roram Plays, one of the leaders of the top alliances in the game, and a great streamer, says he's meh. He has only 3 true synergistic cards, and while they're all strong cards, it doesn't warrant planning him for his randomness. I think our time with Zorn will be quick and fleeting, as he'll get replaced by stronger and better cards. I think that's fairly likely. I could see Red Wing decks still running him, but outside of those, I don't think that he's going to have a long-term home necessarily, unless that previous deck can be further developed. Toxic Soul King says second best card of the season for me, makes some existing archetypes better. Interesting. Okay. I think that's fairly wild. Surge is the best card this season, right? But he has it above Esme, Prodigy, and Elixir. I have it right now above Elixir only of those cards, but hey, Toxic Soul King's having a lot of success with that deck we talked about and featured in yesterday's video. Ika says, potential to become more relevant as time goes on, but very mid for now. Okay, so if they release another 3-drop move card or OTA card into that 3-drop spot, then all of a sudden Zorn does get significantly better, but for the time being, nope. Zenate is surprisingly well supported by just the existence of Red Wing and Vulture. It enables interesting deck building choices. Interesting thought. Thank you, Zenate. Cam Worst, top 30-ish player, says makes Red Wing into a real deck. The lockdown stuff is cope though, as it doesn't have enough points to beat most mid-range decks / Thanos. Seems fair. Red Wing was already a real deck, but now people are realizing Red Wing's a real deck, I think is the difference. Burr says not the best in slot in any deck, probably will go down as the worst card of the month. Like Zorn with Red Wing, but I prefer to play Cloak or Craven instead. I haven't decided which of those combos I prefer. In that Red Wing deck, I lean toward Cloak and Craven. Cloak being like, Craven being like a 2/11, 2/15. It's just a lot of points. Smiles says, seems alright. Lots of unique things I've been seeing with Vulture and Red Wing. Fair enough. And then Prof. Lucci, who is a top 8 player in the recent Crown tournament. If you didn't, not the Crown, the Golden Gauntlet tournament, says it's really strong because it's a control card. You can use it in a combo with Gene and Scream. You can really crush your opponent's board. I have that deck for you. That deck will be in a video later this week, so get yourselves ready. Hey, come check out a stream at twitch.tv/PulseGlazer. I'll be streaming at about 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. If you're interested, we'll be streaming with Gunny T, Super Tech God, and Kira Nimbus, where we're going to be talking about the OTA and both the previous Golden Gauntlet tournament and the upcoming Golden Gauntlet 2 tournament, which is like freaking a week away. It's like 10 days away, 9 days away right now. So get ready. If you haven't heard, that is coming in 9 days, and we're going to talk about it tonight. Our season pass question is real simple. What are your OTA dreams? What is the dream change you would make in the OTA? Pick one. All right, next up we have Husky Zornies 35. This is a Husky Puppies deck. This is his version of the Zorn list that I think is pretty cool. Be honest, I don't like Symbiote Spider-Man in this list at all. I don't think Symbiote Spider-Man's a good card. I think he remains cope, but everything else about this list is very good, and this list puts out a ton of power. This is going to be a deck. I'm featuring this deck partially because I think it's good, and partially because I expect it to be everywhere. Husky is fairly influential, and this is a very powerful list, so I want you to be ready should you see this on ladder. You can find Husky at twitch.tv/HuskyPuppies35. He streams all the damn time with a lot of people. This deck needs Batrock, Sam Wilson, Redwing, and Blink. Zorn can be Madam Web or Topaz, and Luna can be Hope. You do lose a reasonable amount by not having Luna. Sorry, I don't want to re-explain the exact same Batrock plan as I did, right? Batrock, Craven, Sam do the exact same thing as before. Zorn does most of the same thing as before as far as moving around that Vulture and moving around Redwing. The other thing that Zorn allows you access to here, when you move Redwing, you get extra access here to being able to getting a Heimdall, Infinite, or Spider-Man 2099 out early. Any of those are obviously very powerful things to do, and thus Redwing is in the deck. Redwing is one of your two rent packages here. Your other one is Luna. Feel free to go Luna into Symbiote into drop a 6. Luna into Blink is very, very powerful. You can even go Luna into some cheaper stuff and then Blink one of the cheaper things away on the next turn. There's a lot of really, really powerful stuff you can do with Luna and having that extra energy as access. While also just being a 3/6 is really good stats. Symbiote Spider-Man. Spider-Man, I'm so in love with my Nimrod deck. Spider-Man 2099 is a mediocre destroy card. I don't think he's very good, but at least he's good stats. Heimdall gives you one last big boost of power, and if you can get that or Infinite out for free, you're way ahead. Infinite is a card that you fundamentally never play in this list. You're not running War Machine. Infinite is here for two reasons. Because you can cheat it with Redwing, because you can cheat it with Blink. If you draw it and you don't get it with Redwing, you're sad. It's fine. You have one card you can't play. So Husky hit top 20 with this, climbing from the mid-40s, so this is a legit deck. Turn 1 Batrock, turn 2 Sam over Zorn over Craven. Turn 3 Luna over Move Redwing or Vulture, if Sam Craven. Turn 3 Blink is better than a 2/2. Turn 5 Blink or Heimdall, Redwing plus Move or 2099. And then turn 6 is generally Heimdall or two smaller movers. That's it. This list is great, and it is freaking everywhere. You should strongly consider playing it, whether you have Zorn or not. I think this list actually exists just fine with Madam Web or Topaz. Our further top player thoughts on Zorn. Doc Wapo says, I don't think he's great or bad, just a decent card for what he does. Owie, however, says, boring. Den says, fun pair with Redwing, ends there. Fair enough. Salty, good in 1-2 decks so far, but they work without it. Probably the worst card this month because Elixir gets support by Kid Omega later. That's very close to my take. Jocko says he just really doesn't seem all that good. The unpredictable move is also not great. Yeah, that's frustrating. Splat says kind of almost wants to do too much stuff. Tetatonix, whose deck we saw, I like him, and I think he opens up previous archetypes to be played differently, and I think that's interesting. He isn't the best in slot most of the time, but what he does is unique to the decks that want him. Seems fair. Skada, Zorn seems playable. I believe his true place in the meta has not been found yet, but when it is, he'll be a very good card. And then Safety Blade says he does not move me, he's just a card. Fair enough. I think the general consensus here is unless you really, really love Redwing decks, he's probably a skip. And I really, really love Redwing decks, and I don't think I really need him. We have one more deck, but first, if you are looking to get into content creation, please check out my friend BitTwiddle, who does all the graphics and thumbnails on this channel and does an amazing job. Reach out through the information on the screen. I cannot recommend BitTwiddle more for anyone looking to get into content creation. Next up, we've got the Pirate King Tucker. We actually featured this deck at the beginning of the season. Tucker used this deck to hit Infinite with one difference. It ran Shadow King over Surge. This deck has been climbing into the highest win rates in Infinite over the last like week and a half, and I took it for a spin and had a lot more success with it. I think that Surge really adds a lot to this list, and this list has um, sort of taken off as Thanos has become everywhere. Mobius does give this trouble, but if you don't get Mobius, or you do get Mobius and just see the right cards, you should be able to really go over the top. Oh no, I still have Jet. Oh man, I still have all that stuff. Did I actually do the turn by turn? I did do the turn by turn. Let's do the card replacements here. Nico is incredibly unimportant in this list and can be Shadow King. Surge was Shadow King, but I actually, do think Surge is necessary for this list. Agent Venom, however, is not. That replacement would be Ravonna Renslayer. This is where we get a little bit sad, though. Cassandra Nova is required, as are Esme Cuckoo and Darkhawk and Gore. The whole point of the deck is Esme Cuckoo plus Iron Man, Darkhawk, and Gore, so you have to have those. And then Cassandra Nova is just really strong into the meta right now, and there's not another real 3-1-on-3 that does anything remotely similar. So you can replace Nico with Shadow King. You can replace Agent Venom with Ravonna, and outside of that, you're just kind of you're stuck here. Let's go card by card as far as what everything does. So Bast without Hood is fine, but like what you're really trying to hit here is you want to hit Gore, you want to hit Cassandra Nova, you want to hit Iron Man, and you want to hit Mystique. Anything else, whatever, but those are the key cards to hit. Aim for them. You'll happily play, like changing even one of those cards to a 3 power is often backbreaking because Cassandra Nova is like now a 9 power card, right? That's insanely good for a 3 drop. Gore now gets +4 power. Iron Man and Mystique get +6, or Iron Man gets +6, and Mystique gets +6 or +3, right? So with those cards, it's incredible. Hit one of those. Gore is here for Darkhawk. Darkhawk is fine here. Darkhawk is largely a card here in concession to the presence of Thanos, and because it's really good when it's a 3/4. You're not going to get a huge Darkhawk with this list, but you're ultimately okay with that. Nico gives you access to the incredibly powerful copy spell with Cassandra Nova and other things, while also just being a Swiss Army knife of extra stuff. The draw is incredibly useful as well, turning a Korg or Bast into a demon. There's a lot to like about Nico. She is very important in the meta. Surge is almost a backup Esme here in a weird way. You can play kind of whatever turn as long as you don't hit Mystique in this list. So Surge is very good at just chaining for this list. But the other thing Surge really does well is Iron Man and Darkhawk on turn 4 or Gore on turn 5 are all incredibly powerful plays, and they're plays that win you the game. So Surge giving you access to those means that she is excellent in this list. Next up, we have Agent Venom, who does the same thing as Bass except has 5 power, and is thus better to play in an Iron Man lane. Cassandra Nova is big. Again, Cassandra Nova on 3 against Thanos is one of the best things you can do, and thus she is here. Mystique is here to copy Iron Man, Darkhawk, or Gore. Figuring out which of those is not always easy, but when you can, you're good to go. Cosmo protects your cards from largely Enchantress, sometimes Shung, but largely Enchantress. Esme is meant to hit Iron Man, Darkhawk, or Gore, but honestly, a 3/4 Cassandra Nova is not the worst thing in the world. This is a very powerful card and really worth using in this list. Worst case, you hit like a Korg and you're sad, right? You just don't play it. But like you can hit very powerful stuff, and when you do, playing that powerful thing of Mystique on the last turn is a lot of extra cubes. Iron Man doubles a lane. You have lanes that have like Agent Venom and Cassandra Nova that are now basically unbeatable, and Gore is fundamentally the biggest thing. Darkhawk is a concession to the presence of Thanos. This one has a 60% win rate in 120 games. Korg can be Bast. Agent Venom can be, Korg over Bast. Agent Venom over Surge. Cass or Esme on turn 3. Against Thanos, it'll be Cast, and against most other things, it'll be Esme. Also, if you have all your good hits in your deck, it's Esme. Turn 4, Iron Man or Darkhawk is better than a turn 3 play. You can also just drop a Korg and Cass on turn 4 just fine. Turn 5, Iron Man or Darkhawk. Gore if you get very lucky. Turn 6, Mystique and Cosmo or Gore. Mystique and Esme card or Gore. Win the game. This list is a beauty. Props to the Pirate King Tucker, TUCCRR. Check out the King himself. He is an absolute great at this game, and this is an absolutely great deck. Props to Tuck. Question of the day. It's back. I haven't gotten a question in a while. If you'd like to leave a question, please check out the Discord. Mandatory Burnout asked me about Sinners. I went and saw Sinners a few weeks ago. I see very few movies anymore. I have a kid. I see every kid's movie, and my wife and I love Marvel movies, so we go to Marvel movies, but we don't see many of the other movies we want. So we went to see Sinners because we heard such great reviews. Actually, Super Tech God convinced me. Shout out to Super Tech God, who will be on the podcast tonight. convinced me to go see it. And I have I think a different take. So I'm not a big horror fan, right? And it's not like much of a horror movie, but I'm not a big horror fan. Horror works best as allegory, but the allegory for horror often seems fairly heavy-handed to me, where because like it's a monster, and that monster has to like hammer home what their like real world relation is in a way that I don't always love. That said, all the characters and all their plots and all their interpersonal relationships were ridiculously fascinating. The whole chunk of the movie that isn't vampires is a movie that I would have absolutely adored. It might have been one of my favorite movies ever. Eventually, vampires turn up and it becomes like a vampire movie. And at that point, a lot of the interpersonal stuff sort of like becomes more symbolic of like larger systemic issues and stops really being about the people involved. And at that point, I like the movie, but I went from loving it to liking it. So I do wish that they had just like let the people have relationships. I think I would have been more interested in watching how these people continue to play off each other and what their lives were like than I was interested in watching how they dealt with vampires. So that's where I land on Sinners. I think it is a very good movie, and I think the first half is phenomenal, and the second half was fun. That's where I land. If you have thoughts on the movie, please do let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious who agrees, disagrees. Feel free to call me an idiot for this. Maybe I just don't get horror. All right, so certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with honorary things. If you're interested, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. Oh, we have a new Patreon who's not listed here yet. Thank you to Yo Marco. Our patron of the month is Bricks2Click. Thank you. Abigail Houston, Mandatory Burnout, Irregardless, LAB Inc., I Am Frostman, Hota Nevidente, Thinking Poker, Prime Ryan Burke, and Ryan Wood, Ren Rich, Caretix League, Koirei Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Paraphrase, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hallowed, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philly, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Biz of Black Sheep 23 Extras, V and Skibby Rhyming Friends, Jessica Gamble, Sup Jess, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kevsey Hoda, Ludacris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Silverman, M. Holland, David G, Wingfield, Steven, Brian Coffin, Tristan H, Martin, Jason B, Mr. Craig Starry, Matt V, Corey, Corwin, John Q, and Jimmy McHugh, You Stout, Ace Age, One Big Man, Bookman for Reels, Cactus Jack, Reapster, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, Dick Carlo, Models Mod Supreme, Pickety Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fizzle, Spectrum X, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ Mikey Hijinks, No Frickin' Flex, Nick Dog, Greek Geek, Toxic Soul King, Zodrex, The King of Canada, Demon Falcon, Fawthor Newman, Jonesy, Two Chides, The Great Lord as The Pirate King, Tucker, and of course, Gunny T. Where the T stands for, that guy will be on the podcast 9830, but there's also a second video covering the OTA coming out the second it drops. Don't miss either, and I'll see you there for some more Snap Take. Peace.